welcome to another episode of Test That Paddle. And on this episode of Test That Paddle, we're going to test out this paddle, the Selkirk SLK Atlas. And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to go on a minute and hit some balls with my mom. She's visiting. I'm going to hit some balls with my mom and see what I think of it, and maybe even ask my mom what she thinks of it. But in the meantime, before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about it. Okay, so this is the SLK Atlas version. It's a graphite paddle. Let's take this little. Oh, you can see it's $80. $80 retail. And look, one of the reasons that I really like Selkirk as a brand and I really like Selkirk paddles is they look good. Their stuff looks good. Whether we're talking about any of the paddles or the bags or the clothes or the hats, whatever, it looks good. And I think this looks good too. SLK, just for those who don't know, this is sort of the more cost-friendly line of paddles from Selkirk. You know that a lot of their paddles cost $200 and up, right? Well, SLK, it's a lower price point. And so if you're someone who's new to pickleball, you don't want to spend a lot of money right off the bat, you're not sure if you like pickleball, maybe you're giving it as a gift and you don't want to blow the bank, maybe, I don't know, you got some people who are going to be kind of rough with it, some kids who might be rough with it, maybe you're a gym teacher who's going to be giving paddles to kids to use all the time, whatever it might be, you probably don't want to be giving the top end stuff because, they get damaged and then that hurts. But the SLK series, and this particular one, the Atlas, I think might be a really good choice. So it is a USA Pickleball approved paddle, and that's important if you're going to go play a tournament. The grip feels a little bit different here. Let me something like the Invicta. The Invicta grip, you can see here that this is pretty typical with most of the paddles, at least sort of the standard off the production line version. They're quite smooth, and you can see here with this Atlas, you can see the ridges on it. See those ridges? And that's really nice. A lot of people like feeling the ridge. It's a little bit easier to sort of get a feel for where your hand is on the grip as you're playing without always looking at it. So I think that that's a really nice aspect to it. It feels solid. It's a fairly smooth surface. I mean, all pickleball paddles are relatively smooth. Of course, with the higher end paddles, you tend to be looking to produce more spin, and so sometimes you want a little bit more of a gritty feel. This doesn't have that same surface, so it is quite a lot smoother. And but you know what, my feel so far is this is a pretty good entry-level paddle. It feels solid at least. And sometimes what I do is it doesn't break very often. I'm just kidding. Sometimes what I do is sort of test the how much pressure you put on it, because imagine if you're hitting an overhead smash, you're putting a ball away quickly, there's a lot of force that goes on that joint, and sometimes if you feel it wobble or wiggle, not usually so good, but this one feels really solid. So check out the width of it. Okay, it's a fairly narrow paddle. We know some of them, right? If you look here, for example, comparing, it's gonna be a little bit thicker, and so we'll see. Why don't I take it out with my mom and give it a test drive? Okay, so I hit for about 20 minutes with my mom. I hit softballs and hard balls and some few serves and some dinks and drops. A lot of volleys, because that's what you're going to play a lot of in pickleball, and it felt pretty good overall. It definitely feels different than the other paddles. It isn't quite as solid, and I did have to swing a little bit harder to get the juice on it, but once you get a feel for it, it's no big deal. Felt good. Okay, I just got back from hitting with my mom, and the SLK, it was a good paddle. It's a good entry-level paddle. If you want to have a paddle that's just sort of hanging around that you can give to people whether they've played pickleball or not, if you want to give it as a gift, if you want something that's a nice sort of entry into the market that's not going to be really expensive, the SLK Atlas was a great choice. So I'd consider getting it if you're looking for something that plays well, doesn't break the bank, it doesn't have quite the same feel that the top-end paddles do, but you wouldn't really expect it to at just $80. It's really good value, solid paddle, definitely recommend.